All right. So the actual video I wanted to do today, and it was the video I was going to do before the last one, where my mum said, can I do a video with you? And of course I'm going to let her, because she's heard so much interaction from people overseas, saying hello and best wishes when she wasn't well and so forth. But during that talk, we were talking about how I get quite distressed and unhappy about her walking into her house when there's people there that are supposed to be there assisting her, and she's constantly in the dark. And I mean, being taken meals there, all sorts of stuff, and it's pitch black in there. Blinds down, her TV's not on, and this could be 10 in the morning, midday, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whenever. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. And something she said just, and I didn't bring that up during that conversation, but something she said, because I actually spoke to the doctor about her being in that room, and I was saying that that's not acceptable. And she goes, but I'm not lazy. Now, she's 95, and I'm not talking about that. It's because she needs assistance to get up in the morning and get stuff sorted, all right? Which has been hard to watch, but is progressing very quickly, because if she's not at my sister's or with me, she might get a meal cooked, and I do a lot of the cooking and take it over there anyway, so it's microwave. It's basically what's being done. Anyway, so she was trying to explain on that video, but I'm not lazy. And my heart sunk, and I said, no, I know you're not lazy. And then she come out with something that people of that age, 95, don't talk about. And it's only modern times that they're learning about it, if they believe in it. And she said to me, I'm not lazy, it's depression, at 95. So my heart sank, because it's true, because that's what happens. You lock somebody in a box in a dark room and do not acknowledge them except to bring in a plate of food, all right? That's what happens. Anyway, so it just reminded me of my own mental health journey, which is what the channel's actually about. And the people that I have come across during over the course of the best part of 60 years, but I didn't understand it until sort of in my late 20s, what was going on. How people are scared to put their hand up and say, I need help, or I've got some problems, because of them being vilified and people weaponising their mental health against them. And I just want to encourage people, these are modern times, all right? These are not the early 1900s or the 1950s or the 1970s or the 1980s. We're now in 2026, and in Australia we have lots of organisations, both private and non-profits, as well as health department, initiatives, all right, to let people know that it's okay to not feel good all the time. And there's some of us that have had, extreme experiences and carried it through life until we've actually found people that can help us. And for me, that's basically a 50-year journey. And I did seek it out, but the resources weren't there. I didn't understand what was going on. And Also, I grew up in an era that the minute you acknowledged that there was a problem, that you had to be very careful who you discussed it with, including immediate family members or neighbours or whatever, some doctors even back in the day, all right? And people were too scared to say anything for fear of being shipped off to a psychiatric hospital, which I've experienced in my younger years. We'll talk about that down the track, through being in such dark depths that I actually caused self-harm that I thought was going to end all the pain. But, yeah, no, I wasn't real good at it. Didn't matter how hard I tried. But anyway, I was here for a purpose, obviously. And I'll tell you a funny story. About 15 years ago, so my mum was younger, so she was probably in her 80s or late, she would have been, say, 80 or late 70s or early 80s. And she comes from Ireland, and she come out here as a young woman by herself with a child. And one day, when I was very dark and I'd gone to stay with her for a few days, just trying to get my head clear, and she walked up to me and she put both hands on my face, and after watching me just sleep round the clock for 3 or 4 days and crying the whole time, if I wasn't sleeping I was crying, and she actually said, you know I love you, Tan. And I said, yeah, Mum, I know you love me. And she goes, I just don't understand, and I'm really trying to understand. But back in my day in Ireland, they'd just take you away and we'd never see you again. Which is a sign of the times, because she was born in 1931. And it's true. It happened all over the world. It happened here. Lots of women, after having children, didn't recover from baby blues and stuff like that. If people were born with certain mental health issues or physical or autism or whatever, you were a shame to the family. So you were often put into a centre and nobody ever spoke about you. And, you know, you were just kept behind closed doors. People even did it in their own homes. So I actually told my psychologist about it, and she was like, and other people. But it was one of the closest times I ever had with my mother, because it made me understand how difficult it was for her to understand. And she didn't say it in any malice. She was trying to explain that she's trying really hard to understand, but they had not been brought up in an era that you were allowed to acknowledge that part in somebody, that it had to be hidden away. So yeah, my point about all this is, a lot of people feel shame with mental health, and the reason for that is people weaponise it against you. You know, it can be immediate family members, it could be people that aren't getting the exact whatever they want out of you, so then they will transfer it onto you because it's you're the one that's mad or mental health. It's just craziness. So I understand why people don't come forward, but times are changing and people can't do that as easily now as they could in the past, but people have memories of this from their parents or their grandparents or the socioeconomic group they come from, or, you know, the level of education that surrounds them, that tell them, oh, you know, like, no, I'm not mad. Like, if you say, you're having anxiety or you're depressed or whatever, and you suggest somebody attends a psychologist or a doctor or talks to their doctor or somebody in the know, they will instantly become very rigid about it. No, I can't do that because I'm not mad. And it's not, it's just sad because people don't get the help they need. And I want to say to you, don't feel shame about it. These modern days, it is everywhere. In Australia, they say the statistics, we'll try and find some statistics on it, but I'm sure it was about 8 out of 10 people will actually have some sort of mental health episode, regardless of what it is, throughout their life. And these are facts. It's not, just somebody saying, oh, everybody's going to have a problem. It's just the pressures we have in life. It's having children. It could be like myself where you've experienced extreme trauma at the hands of others from a young age or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how big or how small. It's all the same. You're feeling alone. You're feeling frightened and you just need some support. And when people are just telling you to pull up your bootstraps or get on with it or whatever, it's good if you can, get out there and do things. And that's why I'm so big on the mindfulness, because I spent my whole life trying to get help. And there was many. But where I started to turn around was actually learning about myself and how to care for myself and spend time with things that distracted me, and my brain from going into those dark recesses. So we won't get into all that. One day we'll talk about how my stuff come about at a very, very young age. And it wasn't my own family. It was people that took advantage of my family's position. So, there you go. There you go. Just don't feel shame about it. Fuck everybody. They're not the ones suffering. And when you spend time looking after you and finding the right people, all right, and not everybody suits everybody. It took me my whole life nearly to find somebody that actually helped me enough to want to wake up in the morning. So anyway, that's my little spiel. Do not be frightened of people, especially people in positions that think, oh, because you've had some medical issues or you're seeking help, that they can blackmail you or hold it over you or make people think that you're not intelligent or what you're saying is rubbish or whatever. It's because you're not falling into line with what they want. And that could be anybody. It happens a lot with people in power or positions that you think are above you, and nobody's above you, I will tell you. All right, it can be teachers, doctors, clergy for me, government, anything, or an older brother or an older sister, a parent, a partner. All right, don't let anybody make you feel less than. And going and getting help is something that makes you stronger than them. Anyway, it's a bit serious, isn't it? Try to do all the uplifting stuff, but, one day we'll sit down and we'll talk about the harder issues. But I have experienced some things recently where people wanting their own way with certain things that weren't right, and me arcing up and saying, no, it's not acceptable, tried to threaten and belittle me about my openness, about my mental health. Good luck. good luck. Anyway, be blessed and grateful, and we'll see how this video went.